There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies.
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
And the Promenade Merchants Association,
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Welcome back to Especially the Lies, normally a Deep Space Nine podcast, but we are doing a special series of our show where we are watching all of the episodes of the latest entry in the Star Trek franchise, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. If you've been following along with us, you know that we've got some thoughts and opinions on this show, some good, some bad. We've got a rotating cast of characters here with us who are going through. I am your host, Blake, and with me is...
Kevin.
Emily.
And Mike.
So as we do the recording for this one, it is March 23rd, and this morning, news broke that Star Trek Starfleet Academy has officially been canceled following its second season. And I'm not going to sit here and say that this show's perfect and say that everybody should have loved it or been fawning over it, but at the same time, you're looking at a show that's actually got damn near a 90% critic approval rating. Yet, when you go to the fan reviews, this show has been absolutely bombed by alleged fans. And my problem with that is, if you look at these reviews, if you listen to any of the commentary that we've made so far on this show, and anytime we have a problem with it, we can sit there and cite exactly what our problem is. We can sit there and point to, we didn't like the dick jokes. We didn't like certain parts of the writing. We didn't like a certain characterization. We can say why we didn't like something in the show. But when we go to these reviews, that all they do is throw around buzzwords like, oh, the show's too woke, it's garbage, it's teen melodrama, that don't cite anything in the actual show itself. Or what they do cite is nothing more than promotional images where they go into talking about, oh my God, there's characters with disabilities, there's characters in wheelchairs, there was a deaf character, oh my God, there's too many women on the ship. This show was sabotaged from before it ever started by a very vocal group of people who have wanted to do nothing but trash anything that isn't their fanboy idea of what Star Trek is, as if they personally own the franchise. And this move to cancel this show is nothing more than letting bullies win at the end of the day. And to the cheap suits who folded, go fuck yourself.
I mean, they might as well just put up a big billboard that says, review bombing works. Do it more when you don't like a show. Because it's exactly what they did. And it's really hard not to at least suspect that the new ownership of the studio probably had a lot to do with this decision.
Yeah. Yep. CBS and Paramount definitely weren't going to continue pushing anything that was being labeled as woke, given their connections to the current regime and their feelings about wokeness and DEI.
Well, and the administration's own Nosferatu, Stephen Miller, decided to post about hating the show and the franchise, which I'm sorry, when that Nazi ever liked Star Trek is a questionable act.
And that was the tell-all for me is the fact that certain high-up members in the regime took direct note of Trek, of this show, and made their feelings known to it. And that's the kind of thing that any other time I would think it's the kind of petty concern that would just be a one-off comment and it would go no further. But we've seen that pettiness reigns right now.
And the real sad part about it is like I said, it just proves, and this is the whole thing with some of these people on the right, is they want to call themselves a majority, which they're not. The problem is they simply scream and shout the loudest.
Yeah, for sure.
And the people that are the majority, who could stand up to it, continue to sit there and let them get away with it.
Can't argue with that.
So now that we've thoroughly pissed off Paramount CBS and probably torpedoed any chance of us getting early access to future seasons, which at this point, fuck it, so be it.
Oh well.
Too bad. Let's go ahead and look at this episode. Come, let's away. Emily, you've got a synopsis, I think.
Yes, I do. It's nice and quick. Caleb and Charima get their freak on, and Braca returns to fuck shit up. I feel like it hits the highlights.
And then I think we could put in there Tarima mind fucks up everybody.
Well, not everybody, just the Furies.
Just the Furies.
And then she rips her throat out. Oh, wait.
Yeah, she did that before.
It's just a little implant thing, although that did. Ugh,
yeah.
Ugh.
It was kind of gross. Yeah.
So let's grab some first impressions. And Mike, how about yours?
You know, this is a little bit of a mixed bag because I did a little bit of digging. I've read some Trek novels in the past. I was vaguely familiar with where the Furies, where that concept came from, and I was never, ever a fan of it in its novel form. Quite the opposite. But with that weird little quirk aside, because what they depict here is very different than what appeared in the other fiction, I loved this episode. This episode fired on all cylinders, bringing character development to the forefront, putting real stakes on the table for the first time. You know, no longer could all of the Wonder Cadets just magic their way out of the situation. Like, things felt very real. And quite frankly, the highlight of this was Paul Giamatti and his character Ness Braca. He finally delivered on what I had been hoping and praying for when I heard his involvement in this project from the get-go. So I did overall just really, really love this episode.
Kevin.
I couldn't agree more. I loved this episode. I thought that this was the first one that really felt like Star Trek to me. The characterization was there. The relationship between Caleb and Tarima felt extremely real in this episode. The peril felt real. There were consequences that we hadn't really seen too much of before in this series. I thought the acting all around was great. Sam finally got something to do that made her look extremely competent, which, again, she's in Starfleet Academy. She can't be a bumbling fool and be in Starfleet Academy, so I haven't liked how they've written her, but in this episode, she showed you why she belongs there, and they need to do that more often with her character. I thought Oded Fair was good in this episode. I thought that Holly Hunter was good in this episode. Like, it was great, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Emily.
I cannot disagree with them. I will say that how it started changed. Like, I had expectations based on the intro. I was like, wow, we're getting spicy just right off the bat. So the ending and where it progressed was not at all what I expected, but it was done really well. And I gotta agree with Mike. Paul Giamatti, he's fun in this. He's a really good character to dislike. He really sells his unlikability and his manipulation techniques. It was a really good episode, and that we actually had legitimate high stakes because they did lose two people in this situation. So it did make it feel more Trekish, and that the risk was actually there.
So I agree. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I think it's an example of, especially within some of the newer Star Trek shows, and they did this in TNG and DS9 too on occasion, but there have been some really good episodes between Strange New Worlds and now this, where they've kind of embraced almost that horror vibe to do the episodes. And I think this is another example of them embracing that genre and doing it very well. I really enjoyed the episode overall. There's a few things in it that I don't care for. Kevin, you mentioned Sam and how previously you thought Sam wasn't portrayed as a cadet who should be in Starfleet Academy. I have this exact same thought, except it's about Cadet Pickford, who's the one that in like the pilot episode was there at the medical because they swallowed their communicator, and now kind of standing on the bridge having a complete meltdown during the crisis. I'm just not a fan of that. And I know it's a background character, but I'm not a fan of that one. I think that was annoying. That just annoys me every time that cadet shows up. But overall, I really liked the episode. I like the part, I think you hit it spot on. There's actual stakes in this episode that feel real for our cadets and our cast. And they go through that all the way from the start when they're on the ship to them being paraded down by the fear. I don't know why I keep wanting to call them the furries, but ever since the first case,
Slight difference.
the big difference, but ever since they put that out there, I'm like, because I will admit, before I watched the episode, I saw a text preview and I saw that and I'm like, please tell me they're not doing. Oh boy. But when they're walking the cadets out and they're on the view screen making their demands, the part where Bobby gets shot, I mean, just the stakes in the episode, the way they filmed it. I will also say this is the first episode where Kelrick has not annoyed me.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
The Kelrick in this one, when basically him and Nala went, these are our cadets, the two of them working together to bring them home. I love the dynamic with Kelrick in this one.
Yeah, they've slowly been improving him, I think.
Mhm.
Every episode since his introduction, he's gotten a little bit less of a like caricature of a little wooden boy, and he's become more and more of a real person. And this is the first time where his performance didn't bother me in the least. He felt natural and like real.
Yeah.
I was glad they gave Bella Shepherd something to do in this. I wish it had been a little bit more, but they can't have everyone in the cast do something huge every episode.
Mhm.
But man, the guy that plays Caleb, Sandro Rasta, just continues to wow me with his acting. He is
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
And I really liked pretty much everything having to do with Tarima and Caleb in this episode. It felt incredibly real and well acted and well written.
Well, I think part of that, because here's one, I agree with you. Sandra Rosta has been phenomenal as Caleb, but I also think that Zoe Steiner, I mean, because
For
her
sure.
acting, she's been able to stand up and do these roles with him, and she sells it every bit as much.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I've been continually wowed pretty much every episode with Rasta, whereas Steiner hasn't been in every episode or gotten something as much to chew on as Rasta's been getting, but she was incredibly good in this episode.
Oh, I'll say this is the first episode where Durham was there that I don't think I actually thought, God, what a prick.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of forgot he was there because, yeah, I didn't think, oh,
Yeah.
there's that douche canoe again, which was nice.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of one of the nice things to me was the way that as the plot unfolded. Well, first of all, with the Tarima, I keep wanting to say Tamira for some reason.
Same.
With the Tarima thing, I really liked that we finally got the payoff on her special abilities, I guess you should say, that we were first introduced to, like in what, the second episode of the series. They kind of hinted at it. And I like that they played a little bit of a slow burn, but didn't drag it out too long to where it felt like a total MacGuffin, right? And then as far as the rest of the cast goes, what I also really appreciated was the fact that they did take the core cast of characters, or the ones you thought were the core cast, and they split them up as the drama unfolded. They had half of the kids, on the away mission. They had the other half back on the Athena doing their problem solving in a way that felt like a Trek series should feel, not like episode 1 where each one was off in a separate room and they all magically coordinated what they were up to. And it made, like I said, it made all of them feel like real characters, not weird, goofy slapstick caricatures this time around.
Well, I did see one thing that commented on how they didn't think it was Tarima being a true Beta Z, and how Beta Zs were presented previously, because they didn't think that a Beta Z could track someone down like that and connect with them across space. And I did remind that individual of Star Trek Nemesis.
Yeah.
Because there was the whole part where through the Riemann Viceroy, that Tom Hardy's character basically mentally assaulted Troy. And when they went to fire torpedoes at the Riemanns at the end, it was Troy using her connection to the Viceroy who basically helped him lock on to fire weapons. So this is not unprecedented in Star Trek history. I just want to throw that out there for some people who are going, Beta Zeds can't do that. Well, they've kind of had the ability to do that before.
Although, if you're using Nemesis as a defense for anything, I kind of question.
It's the only time I will ever do that.
It's
I'm
less the
just
point that it made
saying,
sense and more the
it's
point that, look, they have done it
they
before.
have done
Yeah.
it.
So
Well, I was
True.
settle
thinking
down.
of the Tin Man episode because that thing was how far
Mhm.
away?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was able to connect with it because he had an ability stronger than most. And I'm assuming that's much like her.
Mhm.
They're, if not the same, very close
Very
in their
close.
abilities, which is why she had the like regulator.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it isn't completely unprecedented. And I appreciate how she decided to control and use that ability because that was really satisfying watching their little heads go.
So I have not watched ahead,
Neither
and
have I.
I know, Blake, you have,
Mhm.
so don't confirm or deny, but I'm assuming that they're going to write in some sort of consequence so that she can't just have another implant put in. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a lasting consequence from her taking it out. Although that's a very sterile way of describing what she did. But it was kind of gross. But I'm assuming that's what they're planning on doing, is that she's just not going to show up in the next episode with one in and just go back to the way it was. Having said that, I really hope that they can continue to do something meaningful with the relationship between the two of them, because I do find that a really great part of the series.
Okay, moving on.
All right, so she dies in the next episode,
I
and Blake just
mean,
isn't going to tell us. Thanks, Blake.
they might put another thing back in. I mean, you can't yank out a device attached to your brainstem every episode. Like,
All I can say is, yes, I've watched ahead, and there's nothing I can say here that's not going to pull a
Yeah.
Kevin on the rest of the series.
Oh, wow. Nice.
All right, good to know.
Or pull a Prentice and talk about the wrong damn episode.
I was gonna say, I mean, as far as the teen drama aspect that a lot of people have panned Starfleet Academy over, a lot of it really is centered on Caleb and Tarima, and I think what initially started off as an eye rolling, like, oh boy, we're turning into a CW series here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty emotionally dead inside, but like,
Really? We
I
hadn't
actually,
noticed.
yeah, emotionally artistic, I believe, is how I've been described.
Was it emotionally autistic?
Thanks. It's always sunny. I don't remember what that was from. Anyway, but no, like the relationship between Kayla and Tarima has actually been really satisfying to watch because of Caleb's background, and I'm glad that they went a different direction with him as well. Like, he wasn't doing the thing I was afraid of in episode 1, where every week it's going to be Caleb having a crisis and trying to sneak off and bail on the academy, and then his girlfriend pulls him back in. It's like, no, it's really like grounding his character in a really satisfying, like, meaningful way.
Yeah.
It's not overly, I don't know if soap opera is the word, because I don't think the CW style shows are necessarily soap opera-ish, but like their relationship feels real. It feels thought out. It feels like it has a deliberate sort of focus for the show.
Well, I like that he's showing growth.
Yes.
Like,
Mhm.
this was what, episode 6? So that's not a ton of episodes to get growth, but he is showing growth, and they are actually showing some growth together. Because early on, I was like, her character felt really manipulative and like she didn't understand boundaries. Whereas in this episode, she was like, wow, I crossed a boundary that I absolutely didn't mean to cross.
Mhm.
And he reacted very strongly because he wasn't ready to share that with anyone. And that felt real and that felt realistic.
Mhm.
And how they tried to resolve it also felt realistic. And like they were both growing and recognizing like how to be a little bit more adult and navigate boundaries together.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great way to put it, because all the characters are showing both. I mean, it's what we just talked about with Krennic and, did I say Krennic?
Yeah, Kelric.
Kelric. Sorry.
Director Krennic.
Yes. But yeah, like all the characters are showing a similar sort of growth throughout the series, and it's really kind of impressive when you think about it, like how much continuity the writers are putting into developing those characters. And I'm glad I'm not getting whiplash from people making the same bad decision over and over and over, and it
Yes.
being kind of a repeating pattern. It's like, no, everybody really is like they are there. They are paying off the promise of like what Starfleet Academy is supposed to be about
And
to
they
the
don't
universe.
just suddenly become perfect. Like
Yes.
there's still missteps along the way.
Well, I even pointed out early on when a couple episodes ago when we were watching this and there was some discussion around the characters because I had already watched ahead, was pretty much stayed current with it. But what I'm liking is each of these characters have so far been given, well, most of them, there's still some episodes to come. Most of these characters have been given an episode that in some way has been a spotlight for them. For better or worse, because last week was really a spotlight on Sam.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then I would say this episode really gets into Terima.
Yes.
We've had ones that, and then episode 4 was really Jaden's story. So they're developing these characters. They're giving us insight into them as well as developing them. And you're right, they are growing from episode 1 to now. There is, as I've said before, I think there's been more character development in this than what they ever did in 7 seasons of Voyager. Because that's always been my one ding on Voyager. Voyager,
Yeah.
when it came to character development, just didn't do that great with it.
Well,
Yeah, I feel
certainly.
like the only character on that show they did a ton of it with was B'Elanna. They did plenty with her, but and of course 7 of 9 they did plenty with her too, but they didn't do a lot with several characters, and you could
They
run
didn't
through
develop
the
Kim. They
list.
didn't. Chakotay was a missed opportunity. They didn't really develop Tuvok that much.
Yeah, they didn't do a ton with Neelix until like the last couple season or two.
Yeah, but Neelix, they could have shot out an airlock in season 1, and I wouldn't care. He was
You
the
know-
Jar Jar Binks of Star Trek.
And it's so sad because I really like Ethan Phillips. I've been a fan of Ethan Phillips for decades, but I did not love the character.
I didn't mind Neelix. He was far from the weakest part of that show. But I mean, to that same point, though, I kind of feel like that's story of Star Trek Discovery for me. I don't feel like any of the characters really grew in a meaningful way. I mean, quite frankly, I'm having a hard time thinking of another character besides Michael Burnham right now. So, what does that tell you?
Yeah. Well, I will say another thing I liked with this episode is I like Oded Fair, by the way. I think he does
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And Admiral Vance, and I love that last scene. Kelrick leaves the office and Vance is talking to Ake and trying to explain this was my call. It was, and she just looks at him with that, just don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That scene between the two of them, and I mean, she didn't even have to say anything other than that, just don't. And what got the verbal cues in that, the look she gave him was just
Yeah.
like, go to hell.
Yeah.
And she's another one who finally, for maybe not the first time, but more and more, she is definitely growing into her character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Holly
agree.
Hunter is getting more comfortable in the skin of Ake, and Ake is putting the over-the-top quirkiness aside and starting to feel real,
Yeah.
believable.
Do you think she was mad at Vance, or do you think that she was just fighting mad about Braca?
Oh, I think she was furious about Braca.
Okay, because that's how I took it too. I was wondering if you
Yeah.
were saying
Yep.
you
But
thought she was
Vance
upset.
was not. She did not want to hear Vance's excuse at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I get. Okay, that's what.
She did
that's
not
how
want
I
to hear
took it
his
too.
apology. She did not want to hear his excuse. She was pissed at Braca.
I mean,
but
this is the thing that I'm excited to talk about with this episode, because like Paul Giamatti is such an amazing actor.
mhm.
And in the very first introductory scenes of episode 1, we get that brief glimpse of him where he's this spitting mad, angry, unrepentant monster of a character, right? And then I was really sad when the next time we saw him, he almost felt like he was schlepping through space, cracking jokes, not really a serious character at all. He was anything but this time. He was like grade A intergalactic asshole in this episode, and it
Mhm.
was
Oh, one of
amazing.
his quotes. I had to pull it up. I wrote it down because it was so funny. Like, I'm wank spanked and ready to be a diplomat. I was just like,
I mean,
oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we cleared that up. No questions.
But he was so good because in this episode you get
Yes.
the payoff that he is not just this angry, petty little criminal that's lucking
Hmm.
his way through space. He's a master criminal
Uh-huh.
and he's holding a serious grudge. And this is one of those cases where like the bad guys lose. They pretty squarely get their asses handed in this episode, and it's done in the right way because it's done by a character who really wants to own them. He doesn't just own them because he's more powerful or because he's lucky or whatever. He owns them because he is smarter and because he is more ruthless and because he is motivated to do it.
This is
Hmm.
honestly Kirk and Khan
Oh yeah.
again.
Oh yeah. That's
And
definitely that level.
it's that level and it's done well. That's what I'm
Yes.
liking with it. It's
Agreed.
done well.
Yes.
You don't have to have a master villain in Star Trek to have a good story, but it sure helps when you do it right. And they
Mhm.
did it really well.
Well, and I think you go through the history of the franchise and you look at some of these master villains that have been there. Ricardo Montalbano as
Yeah.
Khan is iconic. Christopher Plummer as General Chang in Undiscovered Country ranks up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy
I
hitter.
would put his daughter up there
Yeah,
as
Vanek
yeah.
was a
Vanek.
very strong character until they kind of undermined her a little bit,
He
I
kind of
thought.
fucked up the end, but until they did that, Vanek was phenomenal.
It kept
Yes.
you guessing, like, I want to know
Uh-huh.
what her deal is,
And just the level of batshit crazy she played it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's one of those you're not like, yeah, you're definitely scared because you're like, the fuck is wrong with her?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and at the end, after Nuss wins and he sends basically the ultimate taunt back
Mhm.
to them, Holly Hunter's definitely not mad at Vance. She's mad at herself. She's mad at
Mhm.
Nuss. She knows that they've been beaten and that they've been beaten very, very soundly. And she's
Mhm.
mad at herself for falling for it because she knew that she shouldn't have.
Well, and I also think too what plays into how pissed she is that bit where they're in Ake's office and Noose is going on about her dead son.
Yeah.
And she just has to sit there because it's part of the game.
Yeah, which was a new development in this episode too, right? We're still learning things about Ake's history, are we not?
They
So I don't
mentioned it in 4.
did they? Okay.
Yeah. They haven't dived into like much of the backstory, but they kind of got more into it here. And I even think they had that one scene where it went to her hand and you could almost see her clenching the fist
Mhm.
as
Like
he
she
was
was
doing.
trying not to not give away a tell
Yeah.
that it's getting to her, but
Mhm.
yeah, she really just wanted to jack him in the face, and I don't blame her.
Take one of those tequila bottles he was sampling and shove it. Although I will say I agree with Noose Braca about one thing, and that is some of that tequila is nasty as shit.
Watered down cat piss, is that what he called it?
Yes.
And that some of it was just his line.
Yeah.
Because so even like villains in Star Trek, they still have some sort of like put togetherness about them
Hmm.
where they're not using certain types of language. And he's out there just like, I'm wank spanked and ready to be a diplomat. And this tastes like watered down cat piss. And his vibe for this is definitely different. And
It's
I love it.
it's true. I feel a little bit like that's just modern Trek in general, as
Yeah.
much as it is
Yeah.
his
It is.
particular character. But it is when you hear some of those things, it's a little jarring because it still to me as an old school fan feels wrong to hear
Yeah.
But
somebody referencing wanking in Star Trek outside of Lower
Yeah.
Decks.
but there's also not the casting of him helps because there's other actors I think you could put in that role who would give that line, and we're gonna look at it and go, really?
Yeah.
Didn't land. Yeah, he's just so
It didn't land.
charismatic.
Paul Giamatti can land
He's
it.
incredible.
He is just the best space asshole there is.
I can't remember the first time I saw Paul Giamatti, but I know when I became a huge fan, it was the Addams series from HBO. I thought
Hmm.
he did an amazing job playing John Adams, and
Talk about playing an asshole.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that whole series was just good, and so I've been a fan of his since then. But I don't know that that was the first time I saw him, but
Uh.
he is getting when they feature him in an episode, and this is really the first time they've done a full feature of him in the episode. Man, he's just able to do stuff that other actors would not be able.
As far as because I liked him in John Adams too, but for me it was really the show Billions, and I know I've referenced it before.
Mm.
Because take everything Paul Giamatti can be and put him up against Damian Lewis.
I'll have to
And
watch that show.
when Damian Lewis left the show and Corey Stoller came in, It was still good, but Corey Stoller was not as good against Paul Giamatti as what Damian Lewis as Bobby Axelrod was. I mean, those two together could just make a scene. It was phenomenal to watch.
Well, Damian Lewis is a heavy hitter as an actor too.
Hmm.
Some actors just have that hard to describe like presence on a
Yeah.
screen, and he's both of those guys. Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti are just those guys. Like when they're on the screen, they're all you're looking.
Hmm.
And I agree that like with Stoller, I don't get that leading man, that kind of commanding presence from him as much. Not to say that I'm not a fan of him or anything, but it's just not the same thing.
No. So with this one, we kind of get the older ship, which they go on to. And for those keen watching, yes, the bridge was a redress of the Strange New Worlds Bridge of the Enterprise. They're using what they got.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But
I mean,
here's
well,
the
yeah.
first one. So
Why not
this
reuse the
ship,
set if you can change a little
Right.
bit, but you're not
Well,
having to build completely fresh?
and
Just
not to
give a little
mention,
upbeat
yeah, I mean,
beats.
and like we talked about, like there's been a lot of discussion about how every Federation ship is different, whereas every Klingon ship is the bird of prey,
yes.
but like it still makes sense. Like Federation ships all do share a very strong commonality to them. So like it
Mhm.
didn't, if really, like if that is the thing that bothered you, that the bridge of these two ships looked the same.
I mean,
Shall,
that just
shall
feels
we?
like some
Okay,
continuity.
let's go to the bridge of the refit Constitution class, which was the bridge of the Enterprise, the bridge of the Enterprise A, the bridge of the Reliant, the bridge of the
Yeah.
Saratoga, the battle bridge of the Enterprise D, and about a dozen other sets.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean,
you want to go there?
Yeah.
if that's one of the examples that you're pointing to about why, oh, this shit was trash, then blow it out your exhaust, buddy. It's not.
Another thing I want to get into is a little bit, and this is going to be a little nerd trek techish, but so the whole premise of this ship was it had a different type of warp drive. It was a singularity drive.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because and this is one of the things that I will admit pissed me off about the magic mushroom drive. That was just stupid. But it would make sense that in the loss of the lithium crystals, that Starfleet would try to come up with another form of warp drive.
Oh, I always thought it was
And
stupid that we didn't hear more about this all along.
this idea of a singularity drive, let's go back, class, to Star Trek The Next Generation.
Right.
And the
Romulan.
Romulan Warbird. Kevin,
Right.
what kind of warp drive did the Romulan Warbirds use?
Singularity drive, Blake.
Thank you. Good answer. So this is not new stuff, you fucking wankers.
Aren't the warbirds, aren't they like, instead of matter, antimatter, don't they have like a tiny controlled black hole at their
Yeah,
power
much.
core?
Pretty
Like,
much.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, they use
And if
a
the Romulans
artificial
figured
quantum
that out in the
singularity or a
24th
black
century,
hole.
well,
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that the Federation could at least toy with the idea in the 30th or whatever century.
Yes.
and we've seen other examples of, the not. I'll say this again. I feel like we've seen shockingly little in terms of the Federation trying to develop cool new shit. We have seen it before, though. I mean, there was the episode in TNG where they explored the ship that was stuck in the asteroid
Hmm.
because it tried to use a phase cloak,
Mhm.
which is another amazing idea that I can't believe that they never brought back.
And
Right.
then that led us to the finale of Enterprise, which we don't discuss.
Yeah. Well, and Voyager did quite a bit with what quantum slipstream,
Yeah,
Hmm.
transwarp, and some
Yeah.
other stuff.
which
and
was
that
also
made-
first brought up with the Excelsior class, right? So
Right.
I mean, that's an old
right.
concept too.
But somehow the Excelsior didn't turn anyone into slugs.
Well, they also never really said that
It
the
worked.
transwarp drive from 23rd century ever really broke major barriers. So it kind of sounds like it didn't work, but they never really said that.
Well, that's because Scotty took care of the
Yeah.
system for him.
One surgeon to another.
But you're right. It makes sense that they would be researching other things, other forms of warp drive that could be out there.
And what are you getting your panties in a bunch about? It was
Yeah.
a ship that clearly they tried something and it went catastrophically wrong. The end.
Although I will say, the whole premise of this episode, as a fan somewhat of horror as a genre, watching this episode, the way it was shot, the whole idea of the Furies, which were kind of phasing in and out. You had them like attacking and ripping people apart. You had the ship with the singularity drive. I'm a huge fan of Event Horizon,
Oh yeah.
and I was definitely getting some Event Horizon vibes out of this episode. Not saying it was inspired by or connected to it. I was definitely getting a little bit of Event Horizon vibes on this one.
I kind of it's funny you brought that up earlier, and I kind of like that some of the newer treks have delved a little bit into horror, like you mentioned, because there have been a few things, right? There've been I don't know how everybody feels about the Gorn being much more similar to xenomorphs than they ever used to be. I'm
Oh, I
not
love the new Gorn.
oh, see,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
I think the
the
new Gorn is
biggest
cool.
fan of just how on the nose that similarity is, but I like the idea that they aren't lumbering rubber monsters anymore.
Well,
And
even
then
how they were depicted on Enterprise wasn't great either, but when they got to Strange New Worlds, I feel like they really nailed it.
Well, and then I just recently watched the Strange New Worlds episode where they explored. I guess they don't know if they ever really named them. It was the episode about the ship at the edge of space that was like preying on other planets and ships, and they were like free Federation humans that were just
Hmm.
like it was weird and it was a little bit silly in a way, but it was also like a good episode, and I liked the mystery aspect and the kind of horror aspect, and so there again, I don't know if we want to talk about where the idea or the name of the Furies originated in the
Sure.
Star Trek universe,
Go
but
ahead.
I liked it. I liked what they did here. I'll be the first to admit for anybody that wants to come at me about what I'm about to say that I have not read any of these books. I have read the synopses of them. I thought it sounded really dumb, and that was all the further I cared to follow. But like I guess the Furies originate from a like a crossover series of books where they had like a TNG book and a TOS book and a Voyager book or something, and they're like space aliens from the Hell dimension, and there are like 666 races in the Fury Collective. I mean, it's like a
Hmm.
very weird on the nose, like Trek beats Doom kind of thing that they were trying to pull off, and I did not feel it in the least bit. So they brought the name of the Furies back and kind of said like, yeah, they're like savage monsters, and that was kind of where they left it. And I'm totally fine with it. Like, I'm glad that they didn't connect it any more firmly that I'm aware of to whatever that was that happened in novels back in what, the 90s?
Hmm.
Yeah, and I've read quite a few novels, particularly DS9 novels and some TNG, and I don't remember ever coming across the Furies at all. And so this is the first time I remember hearing about them. They remind me a little, the look of them remind me a little of the Drock from the
I was
last
just going to bring that
Yep,
up.
season of
totally.
Babylon 5.
Complete with the jittery heads.
Oh yeah, and I think it's a really cool effect.
I'm going to say right now, sorry, JMS. This is what happens when you do the drop with a better budget.
Yeah.
Don't hurt us.
As somebody who is not a particular fan of horror, I remember seeing Event Horizon once and not loving it, but I don't.
That's because I made you watch it.
Oh, okay. But again, I'm not a particular fan of the horror genre. I would much rather watch a couple other genres before I would watch horror. But I feel like when Star Trek delves into this realm, they do it very well because they don't go too far with it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they make it very approachable for anyone who's a Star Trek fan to enjoy it without it being just a full-on Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense because it's an aspect of like the whole space exploration concept that Trek skips over completely by having every alien be a humanoid with a goofy forehead. Is
Right.
like space exploration is gonna have people encounter weird shit that's real freaky.
And a
Like,
lot of times when they've done it in other series, it's almost been like ridiculous. Like
mhm.
the Genesis episode of the last season of TNG, for example. Like I enjoy that episode, but it isn't good.
No, it's not good.
But anytime they've done it, they've kind of made it campy previous, but in the last 5 years or so when they've done it with Strange New Worlds or this series, and I don't know if they did any particular horror with Discovery. I didn't see the last couple seasons.
I would say the better one TNG did. The name's escaping me, but it's the one where the aliens were like kidnapping the crew in the middle of the night.
Oh
Dude,
yeah, it's like
that
Night
episode-
Terrors,
Now,
I think.
that one.
That episode kind of messed me up a little bit.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
we
Yeah, that
talked
one
about
was
before.
that one was pretty yeah. Yeah.
What the hell was that episode?
I wonder if I think I'm probably even said this before when we talked about it, if the timing of that had anything to do with like in the late 80s, early 90s, there was like a pop culture. What am I trying to say? It was really popular to talk about things like alien abduction because you had the X-Files and you had Fire in the
Oh, yeah.
Sky and that kind of stuff. And boy, that stuff freaked me the hell out. I did not like it at all.
I don't
I
remember
believe
that
Schisms
episode.
is the one.
Oh, it's
Schisms.
just
I
yeah,
thought it was like
Yes.
Night Terror or something like.
Several Enterprise crew members have difficulty sleeping or have lost track of time and find themselves
Yeah,
having
that's the
strange
one.
emotions. Yeah, so it was Schisms,
Schism. Okay.
which was October 1992.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one was freaky. It
It
was
was so
taking me a minute. I'm like, which episode are you talking
oh
about? I had to
man, when they're
Google it real quick.
Because there also
when
was
which
one where
predated
they
Fire in the
were.
Sky by about a year.
yeah, okay.
Although I have to laugh whenever that movie comes up. And the only reason being is the person that is the subject of that is actually in my family tree somewhere. And if you ask the family will tell you meth is a hell of a drug.
Oh, okay. Night Terrors was the one that wasn't particularly good in the fourth season, where they're all sleep deprived. They can't get into REM sleep.
Yeah.
That one wasn't quite as
Uh,
good as
Mm-mm.
Schism was.
Yeah, Schism was the better one.
I'd argue the episode where they were all like devolving back into their primitive forms
Genesis.
was another like borderline horror episode.
Yeah, I mentioned that a minute or two ago, but
Yeah,
that one really had more of a campy element,
it did.
Hmm.
whereas Schism was done a little bit more seriously, I think.
Mhm.
I really like how they wove the horror aspect in with the good acting, the consequences, the believable relationship between Terima and Caleb. I mean, this episode just had everything. And they did it extremely well to the point where if they had one or two episodes earlier in the season that were as good as this one, I think it would have been a lot harder for the review bombing to have worked, unfortunately. But there were some, in every first season of pretty much every Trek show, it has been a little rocky here and there, some worse than others.
Well, I'm not sure though, because the review bombing started before this show ever even
Yeah.
Oh,
premiered
I
first
know. I
episode.
agree. Yes, for
I mean, there
sure.
were
It
people
did.
flat out saying, "This show sucks. I refuse to watch it." Excuse me.
But I guess my point is the only thing that would have driven that away to any extent would have been super high quality week after week without a show having trouble finding its legs. And unfortunately, most Trek shows have had trouble in their first season finding their legs.
I mean,
And this show isn't any different.
yeah. I mean, hell, it's not just Trek shows. Every show has a rocky
Sure.
start. It feels like, but I agree. There are things about this series that didn't help. There were those certain elements of like we've talked about some of when Sam was introduced and her character was super awkward and almost slapstick comedy. I've already seen, unfortunately, it's so frustrating, but like I could say my social media feeds are full of stuff I didn't ask to see, but it's like, Comic Book Resource and all these other websites like IGN announcing the cancellation and doing so with a mix of serious and a mix of obviously celebratory kind of
Right.
shtick. And they always have like, oh, Star Trek Starfleet Academy canceled, and it's like a screen capture of Darren throwing up glitter. And I'm like, that's the thing that happened in episode 5 for like 5 seconds of the entire runtime of what was kind of an okay episode otherwise, but it was silly, it was stupid, it triggered a bunch of people clearly, and it stuck out as a example to point to when they wanted to get mad and rage about that show and continue to express basically their preconceived notion about it.
Right.
I don't,
For the record, the glitter vomit is kind of.
It was stupid. It was clearly stupid. There's been lots of
Okay.
clearly stupid stuff in this show.
But if you have a choice of regular vomit or glitter, which one's gonna smell the least offensive?
Yeah, but glitter gets everywhere.
It does. But if it doesn't smell like regular vomit, that's an improvement. Come
I
on.
mean, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just every show has stupid stuff, right? So
For
it's
sure.
And they're college kids. College kids do stupid stuff, and stupid stuff happens when you're in college.
Really?
No.
If you're doing it right, yes.
We must have done it wrong, Kevin.
Yeah,
Never did anything stupid in
clearly.
college.
Yeah.
Just really frustrating to see that. I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say there. I had an idea that started off formed and then went away.
It's frustrating to see that they're celebrating a show getting canceled when,
Yep.
There you go.
it's never
It's
even been given a chance to fully get started.
it's the
Really.
idea that I don't like it and therefore no one else is supposed to like it either.
Yeah.
I can't accept that other people might enjoy this show. That maybe this show isn't for the target audience that is me and me alone, or me and my four bros that echo chamber, shit all day long.
Well, and
I'm
probably the only reason we're getting a season 2 is because they already announced and they already
Mhm.
went to production on season 2. Otherwise, we may not have even gotten the second season.
Well, and even that, I mean, let's keep in mind they had another season of Prodigy when they killed it. Netflix.
I was going to say, the way things go nowadays, I'm not going to hold my breath until season 2 is
So we actually see it
out and available to be watched, because they might well scrap it for some kind of weird ass tax break or to avoid putting extra money into the special effects, because I think it just finished filming.
Yeah, they
So
just
there's a
finished
wealth
filming.
of post-production still to come if they decide to continue doing it. So I don't know. I don't know how all that works. I don't know whose contract says what and what kind of legal battles Paramount is willing to fight. But
Yeah,
Hasn't Paramount been more apt to let something run than a couple of the other streaming services?
well, like I said, they axed Prodigy
Yeah.
and did not air the completed second season,
yeah, it's hard to
and then
say.
scrubbed it entirely from the platform. Like Prodigy's not there.
I don't think with the changing of ownership and stuff that has happened recently that there's any kind of historical analysis that you can point to with any certainty, anymore. Amazon is probably the other one you're thinking of, who's been prone to cancel things that are very highly rated just for the hell of it, apparently.
Right. HBO's done that too. Netflix. I mean,
Netflix is the king of it. I mean, they've had a long
yeah.
history of canceling shows after 1 or 2 seasons.
I just don't remember hearing that Paramount has done it as much, which is the only thing that gave me any hope that they were actually finish and air too.
Yeah, time will tell. I really don't know.
I guess.
Depends how much Pocket Nosferatu puts his thumb on the button too.
Mm-hmm. So I
Yeah.
think that wraps up our discussion of Come, Let's Away. I was waiting for someone to laugh at the title.
You're welcome.
It's a dumb title.
It is.
All of the titles have been kind of weird in this.
Yes.
Okay, but Star Trek titles are supposed to be weird. Come on.
I mean, they got to get creative
the
after.
reference of where it's from.
No, enlighten us.
Yeah, I'm getting back there.
He who knows all.
Come sail away?
No, Shakespeare, King Lear.
Uh,
Come, let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds in the cage. It also is Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 5. Come, let's away. The strangers are all gone.
well, and as with Star Trek, everything goes back to either Moby Dick or Hamlet. So, or Shakespeare, I should say.
Or Latin.
Or Latin. Yeah.
It's Latin, it's Moby Dick, or it's Shakespeare.
Justice for Bobby.
Just when he wasn't an insufferable.
I was gonna say that was one other thing I was gonna say is we kind of had the core cast of cadets that we were introduced to in season 1 or episode 1, with Caleb, Sam, Genesis, Darum, and then they brought in the War College and introduced us to that other kind of secondary set of characters. And I've felt more for Occam and Bobby than I have in this episode than I have the rest of the season as well,
And there was that nice moment between Kyle and Jaden.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Emily, you look like you want to say something.
I had a thought and it left. I was trying to capture it. I failed. It's been a day.
There we go. I see the thought is flying by. It's gone.
Yeah. I was sad to see Bobby go. Because,
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was kind of
his character was like douchey early on, so there wasn't much growth for him. They just offed him.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of
Yeah.
sad about that.
He was a fun foil against the Starfleet Academy cadets, though. As far as their
Mhm.
little beef between the War College goes, like he was the one I kind of enjoyed seeing scrap
Yeah.
with them the most. And then they introduced him in the beginning of this episode and made him the most likable that he's ever been, when they made him a little bit more approachable with his comic book collection. and And then he sacrificed himself nobly.
And I did like the when you first talked about the comic and Caleb called it propaganda.
Yeah.
But when they're dealing with stuff on the bridge and Caleb quotes the comic and just kind of gives that smirk look over at Bobby, like, okay, I've read the goddamn things.
Yep. Well, yeah, this episode certainly delivered high quality, and I am looking forward to continuing my Academy journey, even though I am very sad to know its days are numbered and it's very likely not going to get a proper conclusion.
Now, I am hopeful if they do season 2, if they do put it out, they did, because when they canceled Discovery at the last minute, they did allow for the production. They did a 15-minute add-on to the end of the final episode to basically wrap it up. I am hoping that they have not shut the door completely and that they would allow Kurtzman and company to at least do something to wrap the series up
I
and
certainly hope
not
so
leave
too.
it hanging.
Yeah.
Because Trek's not dead. There is a slate of other rumored, if not confirmed, projects on the table. So I certainly hope that they don't do Academy dirty and just
Well, I'm gonna say what it's gonna depend on because from the rumors I've heard is there is interest in doing the year one show with the what would be Kirk's first tenure on the universe.
Hmm.
From what I understand, that the folks they had sign up as Sulu and McCoy were signed to a multi-series option.
Hmm. Yep.
And that what it's going to depend on is when the next season of Strange New Worlds comes out later this year, is it needs to have a strong start. And if it does, they're going to announce year one during the 60th anniversary celebration later this year. Now, what that's going to involve is if you don't like the show, don't watch it. But don't go out on the internet and be the goddamn little dicked keyboard warrior that wants to throw all your opinions around as if you are the only person in the universe that matters. Let fans like the show. If fans don't like it, great. If fans like it, even better. But let the fans watch it and make their own determination before you go out and just decide to trash something that you've never even seen. And the other part I will say to this is a big part of the backlash this show got was from fans who were pissed that it wasn't Legacy because that's what they wanted. They wanted Star Trek Legacy. And I get it. I want Star Trek Legacy to happen? Absolutely.
yeah.
But was I going to torpedo this show because I didn't get it?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
The logical gap in some of these people.
It's a weird thing. I mean, have we learned nothing from like the Marvel universe where if you feed into the franchise is going to feed you back. You know, it's going to expand. You're going to get more shows, more variety. Eventually, you'll get the show that is for you, even if this one isn't.
Mhm.
Instead, there's this really weird mentality, and I see it in other fandoms as well, where it's like, this show came out. I don't like this show. I have to get rid of this show to make room for the one that I want. And that is just not the way that it works. What's going to happen is you're going to get rid of this show, and the studio is going to take the wrong message away and decide Trek is dead, like sooner or later.
What was that Star Wars show that got canceled after one season?
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte, which that one isn't dissimilar from this, where
Totally. Yeah.
that one got review bombed and they decided not to renew the show. It's a lot like this.
Yeah.
It had more female characters than a lot of the other shows and some other representation, and that's probably why it got review bombed. So
the showrunner being a lesbian probably was all that a lot of people needed to go out and be mad and torpedo it right off the bat before episode 1 even came out.
Might be all they knew about it.
And frankly, I'm certain it's all that a lot of them knew about it. And unfortunately, I won't say that show didn't have its problems too, but
it did.
It was still not bad.
I won't mention which one, but and part of this gets into, and we've been dancing around this with some of the reviews, but it came out this past week that a rather sizable geek-based news website group, social media platform that talks a lot about sci-fi and different media had a job posting.
Yep.
And God bless the internet, someone found this job posting and screenshotted it, and it's legit. I went out and looked it up. It was still out there. It was a legit thing. I have my own personal screenshot of it. What do you think the number one criteria was for a writer that they wanted to hire? They had to hate Starfleet Academy. This was a job posting for a review website where the top criteria for the job was you had to already hate the show you were going to be tasked to review.
And it was a pretty sizable amount of money too. So we know that there is a ton of millionaire money and billionaire money out there to steer fandom in a particular direction and kill it in others. But of course, liberals are the ones that are paid to
Yeah,
protest.
about this job, Starfleet Academy haters wanted as writers for Geek News website. So for the people that listen to us, because we had a person really go off on us on our Spotify on some comments,
Fuck
matter
you.
in hell, because we said that a lot of these reviews were fake, that it was people who never watched the show, and it was a bunch of just bullshit mock outrage. And this person got mad at us for that and was telling us how wrong we were and that they had never seen a review from someone who hadn't seen the show, that it was all this was legit complaints. Sorry, we got the receipts.
Yeah.
They're hiring people strictly to review bomb the show.
It's tough for everybody in fandoms like this to express an opinion in a certain way, right? It's like I don't ever want to come across as like, if you tell me you don't like this show, like you're not like, I don't want to come across like my belief is that you're not allowed to not like this show. You're absolutely allowed to have your own opinion about it, as long as it is your own opinion. You're not just parroting what someone else has told you to say. You're not just jumping on a hate train, spouting nonsense about something you don't even know about.
You can say what you don't like.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have a discussion all day long with Kevin about which episode or which Star Wars series I like and dislike. We've talked about the movies a few times. It's fine. We can have an intelligent conversation about it, and then at the end of the day, I can accept.
That Kevin is wrong.
I can accept that Kevin is wrong. Thanks, Scott.
We had to work in a Scott moment.
But yeah, I mean, it's just an undeniable fact at this point that the hate train fired up early on this one. And, I don't even know what the point of the job posting was, because we just have AI chatbots to do this. I mentioned CBR already. CBR is the fucking worst. It's nothing but automated schlock. And half of it isn't even correct. I've yet to see a Transformers related article where what they talk about is even remotely correct.
So what you're saying is they could have saved themselves $1,500 of posting and just fed it into an AI engine. And done basically the same thing.
I can't believe they haven't already.
So they're basically fucking morons. Got it.
Well, yes, I thought we'd
that tracks.
Well, the posting also says they don't want individuals from California or New York to apply, which let me guess why they don't want those particular states.
Couldn't be any more transparent about what their agenda and bias is and who's pulling the strings behind it.
So speaking of Star Trek and biases and reviews, we're going to have a special episode coming. For those of you that remember Grey 17, I had the opportunity during Grey 17 to do an interview with one of the hosts from over at Trek Culture, a show which, by the way, we have referenced a lot. You want to talk about a show that calls it pretty fair? I highly recommend watching Trek Culture's content. They call it the way they see it. They name what they like, they name what they don't, and they're pretty fair about it. But I have long been a fan of Sean Farrick from Trek Culture. He sat down and did an interview with me when we had Grey 17 going. And I recently reached out to Sean and said, hey, with everything going on in the world of Star Trek, with all the announcements, all the pieces, would you like to join us on our new show and talk about all things Star Trek? And to my surprise, Sean messaged me back like minutes after I messaged him and said that that would be awesome. He would love to do it. So we are working out now when we will be able to get an interview set up with Sean, but we will have Sean Farrick special episode on Especially the Lies. So stay tuned for that, where I will do another interview with Sean to talk about all things in the state of Star Trek. So I think that wraps up our discussion for this particular episode. I'm not going to say the title again, because that might just be one too many times of saying come for Emily. But we will be back next week. Well, I keep saying next week. It'll be 2 weeks, because we're doing these on a 2-week release. We will be back in 2 weeks with the episode Cozine, or Cozine, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But we will be back discussing episode 7 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Until then, I have been Blake, and with me has been
Kevin,
Emily,
and Mike.
Live long and prosper, y'all.
Or don't if you're a billionaire.